Hey guys, how are you? Welcome into a Wednesday morning edition of the coming on 3, 2, and 1. Hey guys, how are you? Welcome into a Wednesday morning edition of the Daily Juice podcast with me, Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me on Twitter at SportsTalkMatt. BettingPros is at BettingPros on Twitter. This podcast being brought to you by BetMGM. Every morning we're here audio-wise. Wherever you get your audio podcasts, YouTube on the BettingPros YouTube for video. The offer still stands, $10 bet to win $150 on any new sign up with BetMGM. You win $150 to bet on any event using that promo code JUICE150 upon signing up for a new account. It does work in New York, by the way. It works in every state that BetMGM is currently operating in right now in America. All right, so a 2-1 night last night. We get Auburn right, we get Creighton right, and we get Iowa State wrong. 2-1 winning night. So let's redo that again. Let's go with 3 bets here coming up for us tonight here on with basketball. I am eyeballing hockey. There may be some plays. There are hockey overs, like the Maple Leafs are going over like every game. The Devils are giving up a ton of goals, and they're scoring goals. Their first period overs are hitting at a very consistent rate. The Panther games are going over at a very consistent rate. So at some point, I've got to get involved. I'm betting on it personally. I'm getting a lot of it from my other show and talking to different people throughout the day, and I'm betting on these things personally, and I'm capitalizing on them. So I got to eventually get to making them official, but a lot of the times they're not my handicap, and a lot of times I'm not 100% sure I want to commit a full unit, half unit, whatever it might be, to a hockey bet. So staying with basketball tonight, we'll start in college basketball, and I do have one NBA play that I want to get to here tonight. So let's start in college, and let's start with the game of the night. That is Wisconsin up against Illinois. On the road this season, Wisconsin is 7-2 against the spread, and they are catching 6.5 points tonight against Illinois. Now, last 3 games, Wisconsin has not covered. But for Illinois, the last 4 games, they have not covered. In fact, they're 1-4 over their last 5, and they're 5-5 over the last 10, and they're just 6-5 at home against the spread. This is going to be a really interesting matchup. Obviously, you've got great point guard play and scoring prowess now with Wisconsin. You got the interior defense and the interior offensive scoring of Illinois. This feels heavy though, right? 6.5 just seems like a lot of points between these two teams, in my opinion. I know you can go back and say, well, at home, they were laying 11 against Michigan. They won by 15. They've won their last 2 games, just not covering. They beat Michigan State at home as 2-point favorites. They won by 1. They were laying 5.5 in their last game against Northwestern, and they won by 3. Last second deep shot covers that for Northwestern. It was kind of a bad beat, but on the other side, Wisconsin laying 11.5, won by 6 against Minnesota, laying 9 against Nebraska. They won by 8. They're laying 3 against Michigan State. This is the last time we took Wisconsin back a couple of Fridays ago, and they lost the game outright by 12 points. But before that, they had covered 5 straight games. So I think they get right here against the number. Not sure they win the game here tonight, but I think Wisconsin keeps it close. I think they have the scoring prowess. I think it's a lower scoring game. I don't mind the under in this game, even though Wisconsin has been an absolute over machine this year. They're 13-7 on the year. 8 of their last 10 have gone over. 6-3 to the over on the road, although the last 2 games have gone under. Illinois also at home 7-4 to the over, but their last 2 games also have gone under. So Big Ten basketball teams start to get enough film. They know each other. I'm going to stay away from the total. Half a unit, Wisconsin plus 6.5 on the road at Illinois. Similar theme here to the picks in college basketball because Wisconsin's at Illinois, Villanova is at Marquette. The number is 4.5 here at the time of taping. Villanova 12-9 against the spread this season. Marquette is 14-8. Marquette has covered the last 8 games. They are 8-0 against the spread over their last 8 games, 8-2 over their last 10. And Marquette is just 6-6 at home, but they've been playing much better against the Big East. They're 9-2 against the spread against the Big East. I got Marquette catching 4.5 points here against a Villanova team that on the road are just 6-6 against the spread and only one cover in their last 4 games. They lost to Marquette at home by 3 when these two teams played last week. They were laying 13.5 points in that game, and they lost outright by 3. I think Shaka Smart's team matches up pretty well here with Villanova. I think this is a dogfight of a game. I got plus 4.5 for a dog when you know Marquette is going to be jumping. You know it's going to be a hot environment for Marquette with Villanova coming into town here. Nova's 7-4 against the Big East, against the spread. They're 12-9 this season against the number, but I don't trust them on the road. I mean, they struggled with Georgetown, winning by just 11. They laid 13.5 at home to St. John's. They won by 11. They've won 3 in a row, and they've won, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 of their last 10 games they have won outright. Nova may win this game, but I got 4.5. I got 2 possessions. I'm taking the plus points here. Plus 4.5, Marquette at home against Villanova. You guys are going to sense a theme with me over the next week or two. I really do like conference rivals home dogs, okay? I really am going to be looking strong. It didn't work for Iowa State. Kansas went in there and beat them up, okay? But I think taking points is smart here in conference play, in particular when it's over 1 possession and you're getting 4.5. Wisconsin's getting 6.5. Marquette's getting 4.5. I think these are good numbers to jump in here to grab onto the dog. All right. So those 2 plays are going to go here for college basketball tonight. I've got one NBA play to get into, and it's the Boston Celtics at home against the Charlotte Hornets. Boston is laying 5. Now, Boston on the year, not great. 25, 25, and 2 against the spread. Charlotte 30 and 21 against the number. However, over the last 5, Charlotte 1-4 against the number, while Boston is 4-1 against the number. Boston has been playing much better basketball over the last 2 weeks of the season. Against Washington on the road, laying 2.5. They won by 29. Against Sacramento, laying 9 at home. They won by 53. They did lay an egg at Atlanta. We were on the Hawks last Friday. They were catching 1.5, and they lost by 16, but they went back to the well against New Orleans, laid 7, won by 10, and then beat the Miami Heat at home by 30, laying 6.5 points in their last game. Jimmy Butler didn't play in the game, so they killed them, but only 1 cover in the last 4 and 3 losses outright over the last 5 games here for Charlotte. Now, they may get Kelly Oubre back tonight, but they're not going to get Gordon Hayward back tonight. There are a lot of former Celtics on this Charlotte roster, Gordon Hayward being the most recent, but Scary Terry's on this Charlotte roster. Boston lost at home outright to this team on the 19th of January. They were laying 3. Charlotte won the game by 9. Okay, that was sort of like the end or towards the end of this like awful run that Boston was on. They lost to Charlotte, to Portland, they lost to Philadelphia. It was just a really bad beginning part of the month. But since then, since that loss to Portland, they've won 4 out of 5. They've covered 4 out of 5. And at home, they've played very well. The last 2 games, winning by 53 and winning by 30 in their last 2 home games. I'm going to lay the 5 points here. I think Boston and Jaylen Brown, they've been talking about throwing a switch and starting to play really good basketball. I think this team is a little shorthanded with Charlotte, and Boston lost to them already at home. I think they'll remember that. Boston -5. I'm going to drop it on a half a unit here. Celtics at home against the Charlotte Hornets for a half a unit. All right. So those are the 3 bets we got going on here for today. We're taking points with Marquette against Nova. And we're taking points with Wisconsin against Illinois, and we're laying the points with Boston at home against Charlotte. All right. Got a lot of basketball, a lot of hockey to get going. Maybe baseball is going to come back. We don't know. It sounds like spring training is going to be delayed. Somebody asked me today about the Olympics. I will be blunt and honest here. I have not done any prep for the Olympics. Once the NHL players did not go over there, kind of ended that tournament, ended my prep. However, it doesn't mean I won't make bets on the Olympics, okay? It doesn't mean I won't lean on people. I'm just going to tell you, if I give you an Olympic bet, it's not mine. I'm just trailing somebody else's play, and you can do what you want with that. I mean, my bets are my bets, so how I get to them doesn't really matter. I just tend to not want to make plays that aren't mine. But the Olympics are coming, opening ceremonies on Thursday, and people are going to want to bet it. So I'll bet it with you, but I got to find numbers and lines and people that know more about this stuff than I do. Bobsledding and curling and the hockey tournaments and things along those lines. Yeah, we'll bet it. It's sports. We bet everything. So Olympic betting will happen. I just don't know in what capacity or when or how much coming. So just a heads up. All right. That's our podcast for a Wednesday. Much more to come every single morning. It's the Daily Juice Podcast, always being brought to you by BetMGM.